Shalom, shalom, Israel. First off, giving our praise to the Most High and to His Son, Yahweh. Today's class is removing of the leaven. Removing of the leaven. Because like a lot of brothers and sisters that's in camps, they have been celebrating the Passover, or the Passover is up and coming. Well, ours is up and coming. So we want to go over this history with brothers and sisters so they make sure that they can have it. Because there's some things that we have to do during Passover. And we're going to touch on this class today, removing the leaven. That's one of the main things that you must do while waking up becoming an Israelite. You're going to remove all the leaven out your house. The leaven is going into the yeast, the things that's in the bread that makes the dough rises, that's in cakes and so forth. And like we said, we're going to touch on this class to let brothers and sisters know that it's symbolic. It's symbolic to sin. You know, we in a new year, we want to start off the year fresh. So you want to start off the year with no sin, you know, and not letting sin to be able to rise. And I would say this is some things that we want to righteously rehearse, kind of go over, because this is our heritage. These are our laws. This is our culture. It's been a nation of people. So the first precept that we want to go to is Judges chapter 5, verse 11. You know, a lot of brothers and sisters is familiar with this. You know, it's always tearing down those doctrines that we hear on Facebook, saying that we can't keep the commandments, we shouldn't keep the commandments, and so forth. But like we always say, let God be true and let every man be a liar. You know, so we want to practice these things. And guess what? The scriptures is in there to let us know that. When you get the officer, y'all read that from Judges chapter 5, verse 11.
Book of Judges chapter 5, verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers.
It says, they that are delivered from the noise of archers, going to nuclear weapons. Read on now.
In the places of drawing water.
The places of drawing water is the places of servitude, because we had our servants to draw us out water. Read on up.
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts.
It says, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord. So the places where nuclear weapons is going to hit, the places where we're in slavery to, we should be in this place rehearsing the righteous acts of the Lord. What are the righteous acts of the Lord? Keeping his law, statutes, and commandments, keeping his high holy days, keeping our heritage, our culture. These are the things that we should be rehearsing. We shouldn't be rehearsing 4th of July. We shouldn't be rehearsing Easter or Ishtar or Ashtar, like how they put all in the books. These are pagan holidays, pagan gods that a lot of times people are celebrating. But once we come back to knowing who we are, we put off all that old leaven and put on unleavened bread. Read on up.
Even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his village in Israel.
Then
shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates.
It says, then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates. That point that we want is, guess what? Righteous rehearsal. That's practicing these laws, statutes, and commandments, and we're commanded to do these things. So when you're hearing brothers and sisters saying that we can't keep the laws, we shouldn't be doing those laws, those people are crazy, man. Those people are just flat out crazy, because the Bible interprets itself. The Bible is giving us the understanding, so we don't need to lean on our own understanding. You know, so y'all should run toward the hills or toward the other direction, man. Or slide that Facebook post on to the top. Give me the book of Leviticus chapter 23 and verse 6, because this is where we find out how to keep our high holy days, in the book of Leviticus. Like we said, we're going to do a little bit of reading, kind of go over this history to get brothers and sisters familiar on why we do these things, removing the leaven out of our house. Because like we said, the leaven is symbolic. It's going into rising. Like we said, what yeast does to the bread, to the cakes, it makes things rise. So you don't want sin in you to rise. Because guess what? A lot of times that's what stops us from getting to the kingdom. That is what stops us from getting to the kingdom. Letting that sin in us rise, letting leaning on our own interpretation, going off vain thoughts, leaning on our own understanding. All these things, man, plays a part within that. Read Leviticus chapter 23 and start at verse 1 out.
Leviticus 23 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel.
No, speak unto everyone.
Speak unto the children of Israel.
These things was written to the children of Israel and to the children of Israel only, which are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans today. Read on up.
And say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord.
So these are the feasts of the Lord, also called what? Holy convocations or high holy days. Read on up.
Which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
Even these are his feasts. Jump down to verse 4.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
And that's the key right there. It says, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons, meaning we should do these in our seasons. And Captain Maccabees went over a class on how we keep God's high holy days in each of the months by the seasons, determining by what? The months, counting the new moons and so forth. You got some up?
I'm gonna go here.
Read on.
In the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
So it's telling us in the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. So what month are we in, brothers and sisters? The first month. So now when we get to Monday, it'll be what? The 14th day at even, when we'll start to celebrate the Passover. So like we say, by this time, we should have all the yeast out of our house, all the leaven out of our houses. Read on up.
Verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
Read that again.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread. Let you know that guess what? They coincide with each other. The first day is the Passover, but the first day is also what? The feast of unleavened bread as well. They're synonymous with each other. Read on out. Read verse 6 again.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread.
So that 7 days, that's what we're commanded to eat, unleavened bread. And unleavened bread is what? Sweet bread, basically cake bread or sweet bread. You know, some people make it in the tortillas, the flat bread, and some people, you know, make it in the cupcakes in the cupcake sense. But like I said, that's what we're commanded to eat 7 days, brothers and sisters. No cinnamon rolls, no Krispy Kreme donuts, no none of that stuff. Eggo waffles, none of that. These are the things that we're commanded to eat that day. Read on up.
Verse 7. In the first day you shall have an holy convocation.
And that's what we're going to have Monday, a holy convocation. That means a holy gathering. Read on up.
You shall do no servile work therein.
And that in that day is no servile work. Like we said, we know brothers and sisters can have to work, but we understand. Like we said, we are in captivity, so we have to do what we have to do. But the thing is to get off days or get your vacation days according to God's high holy days, so you'll be able to keep these things. And that's where it comes with the righteous rehearsal, because guess what? Sometimes in rehearsal, what you mess up. So guess what? You practicing it so you can perfect it. So that's what we doing. Each day, each year, we get better. We get better. Now we understand what the thing going on with the coronavirus. So guess what? We take precautions even within that. You know, we just pray to the Most High that He allow us to keep that, however quick or however fast we need to. We gonna keep the Passover, man. Give me this definition of leaven. I would tell brothers and sisters, give me the definition of leaven out of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is a book that all brothers and sisters should have. Because like we said, you can kind of just read these things. You know, it's some great information in there. I would say you want to make sure that the things that's in here lines up with the Bible, though. Because we know Esau plays tricks and trickery and so forth. But we want that definition of leaven. Page 321. It's a lot, brothers and sisters as well.
The Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, the definition of leaven. Substance used to make dough rise.
It says it's the substance that's used to make dough rise. Read on up.
Could not be used in meal offerings.
So we could not use this when we was doing the times where we were sacrificing in meal offerings. Read on up.
Or in Passover.
Or in Passover, like guess what? What we're about to celebrate. Read on up.
Symbol of moral influence.
Now this is the key right here. It's a symbol of moral influence. Guess what? The leaven is symbolic to what? Sin. So the Most High was putting these things on our mind, putting it in symbolism, putting it in a figurative language. Read on up.
Whether good or bad.
Whether good or bad, because guess what? It's good types of living and it's also bad types of living. The sin, guess what? You don't want sin to be living, but guess what? You want your righteousness to be living. You want righteousness to rise to the top, rise till we get to the kingdom. Give me Exodus chapter 12 and verse 15. We'll kind of touch on this history. Start with verse 12.
The book of Exodus chapter 12 verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. Now,
do me a favor. We're going to start a little bit. We're going to kind of touch on Passover as well, too. Give me 12 and verse 6. We're going to kind of touch on that, too. Shalom, shalom. I'll touch on that as well, too.
Shalom. Exodus. I got Passover. Exodus chapter 12, verse 6. And you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
Shall do what?
Shall kill it in the evening.
Now, this was during the time where they were sacrificing. You know, we understand, like we said, in our sense, guess what? We'll just put it on the grill. In that on that 14th day at even, which is the 15th day. Read on up.
And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it.
Now, the Most High God was giving us instructions on how to put the blood over our doors. So what? So that death could pass over the Israelites and do what? Kill the Egyptians. That's where you get the word Passover from, because death, the Most High passed over us to kill the Egyptians for what? For our sakes. So that's why we do the Passover. That's why they did the blood over the doors. And guess what? Even when we bring it up to today, think about with the coronavirus, man, going on. We asking the Most High to do those same things that he did then. Pass over us. Pass over the children of Israel. And guess what? Tear up these other nations, man.
And how we get the Lord to pass over us? Keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments.
That's right.
Go ahead.
That's exactly right. Being obedient to his word, just like how he told them to do that thing. Guess what? We doing it in a symbolic way too by, guess what? Keeping the commandments. Read on up.
Verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire.
Doing what?
Roast with fire.
So you eat the lamb, put the lamb on there, roast with fire. Read on up.
And unleavened bread.
And what?
And unleavened bread.
You also eat it with unleavened bread as well. Read on up.
And with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
And with bitter herbs. Those are the three main ingredients that you need for the Passover. You need lamb, you need bitter herbs, and you need unleavened bread. Those things are very symbolic, what we're going to go over. Read on up.
Eat not of it raw.
So don't eat it raw like Esau love his meat. We ain't eating that thing like that, man. We don't want to see no red meat, no none of that, man. Read on. We like our meat, what, Judah to the ground. Read on up.
Nor sodden it all with water.
So don't soak it in water or boil the meat. The Bible is giving us specific instructions on how we prepare the Passover and prepare the lamb. Read on up.
But roast with fire.
But do what?
But roast with fire.
But it says, but roast with fire. Read on up.
His head with his legs and with the pertinence thereof.
And with the pertinence is going into the organs. Now we know we don't do that today. Not with the organs and all these different type of things. Read on up.
Verse 10. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning.
Read that again up.
And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning.
Don't let anything, so you can't have what? Any leftovers. So the things that we're going to put on the grill, that's the things that we have to eat. If there are any leftovers, we must throw them away. The Most High God has given us specific instructions. And we're going to get into why it was specific like this. Read on up.
And that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire.
So the things that we had left over, we burn with fire. Read on up.
Verse 11. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
Why do we have to eat it in haste during this time? Anybody know? Any one of the brothers know? Why do we have to eat it in haste?
Because when we was in Egypt, we had to deal with them quick because they was coming.
Exactly. We had to hurry up and get up out of there, man, because the Most High was about to kill them. So we knew that they was gonna seek retribution. So that's why the Most High God was telling us, eat it fast and in a hurry, because these Egyptians, they're gonna be coming after y'all in a little bit, man. You know, the Most High God did what? He killed all their firstborns of everything. So the first, it was not no one that died in Egypt that night of some family. He even killed the firstborn animals. Read on up.
Verse 12, for I will pass through the land of Egypt.
Hold up, verse 11, read that again.
Verse 11, and thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
Give me the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 30, verse 21.
And let it be known, this is the first Passover. The people I know, I've heard people say that coming out of Egypt was the first Passover. When that happened, no, we celebrating that time that it happened. So this is the first Passover that happened. Not when we were in Egypt. That was what happened. That was the event that occurred. This is the first Passover that when we celebrating the event that occurred.
Oh, praise God. Give me the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 30 and verse 21. Because like we say, I know we done went through this. And like we say, y'all brothers and sisters, write these things down. Because it's showing you the history that our forefathers did. They were steady keeping the Passover, keeping the high holy days. Jump up at verse, jump up to verse 18 now.
2 Chronicles 30 and 18. For a multitude of the people, even many of Ephraim and Manasseh, Issachar and Zebulun, had not cleansed themselves, yet did they eat the Passover otherwise than it was written. But Hezekiah prayed for them, saying, the good Lord pardon every one.
Because guess what? During that time, you couldn't be unclean celebrating the Passover. You had to be tip-top and in order with the Most High God to even celebrate the Passover. Guess what? You had to do it that following month. Get yourself clean and do it that following month. Read on up.
That prepared his heart to seek God, the Lord God of his fathers.
Hold up. And on verse 19, what they doing? They was getting rid of the leaven out of them when they went to the Passover, just like we should be doing here, getting rid of the leaven in ourselves, man. Anything, how you feeling about people, how you feeling about yourself, whatever you going through, get rid of that going towards the Passover. Man.
Exactly. You want to start the New Year's off good, you know, with no sin in you. Guess what? Moving toward the mark, because each year, like we said, we're getting closer and closer to destruction. So you want to get closer and closer to the Most High God. All praise, read on up.
Verse 19, that prepared his heart to seek God.
And that's what we should be constantly doing, preparing our heart to seek the Most High God. Read on up.
The Lord God of his fathers, though he be not cleansed according to the purification of the sanctuary.
Read on up.
And the Lord hearkened to Hezekiah.
Now we know that what Hezekiah was doing, what the time of the Assyrian captivity. This is about 721 BC. So even many years after we came out of Egypt, they were still celebrating these things, as we should be doing, like we are to this day, 2,000 years after the death of Christ. Read on up.
And the Lord hearkened to Hezekiah and healed the people.
And that's what we asking the Most High to do for us, heal us. Because guess what? We got a lot of things going on. We got people that's in fear. We asking the Most High to heal all these things. But guess what? You got to be seeking the Most High God for him to do anything for you. You got to be keeping the commandments. There's no doubt about that. Read on up.
Verse 21. And the children of Israel that were present at Jerusalem kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with great gladness.
With what?
With great gladness.
So we kept the Passover with great gladness. You don't see how it says in the first one, like Maccabees bringing out, how we had to keep it in haste. No, this time we was keeping it with great gladness. Read on up.
And the Levites and the priests praised the Lord day by day, singing with loud instruments unto the Lord.
Because guess what? They was having a good time, like how we normally do. Playing the music, you know, dancing, having a good time amongst each other, doing what? Praising the Lord the right way. Not according to Christianity, you know, up in there hooting and hollering, and they got Cesar Borgia on their mind. No, we got Yahweh on our mind and his father Yahweh.
Right.
Give me, let's go back to Exodus. Chapter 12 and start at verse 12. All right, we said we're going to do a little bit of reading to give brothers and sisters some understanding. Going through this history. Read that, Officer Yard.
Exodus 12 and 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt.
He was going to kill all the firstborn in Egypt. Read on out.
Both man and beast.
Read that again.
Both man and beast.
He was going to kill them and they animals. So guess what? Without animals, they did what? A lot of them starved out as well. Read on out.
And against all the gods of Egypt.
Because the Most High was also bringing this, and we'll touch on that next Sabbath class, how he was killing off all their gods. Like we say, you had the god of Lord of the Flies, so to speak, that the cow god had Ra, the sun god. The Most High God, each plague that he brought upon was killing their so-called fake gods. And he was begging the magicians, do something, show us your power. Guess what? Y'all don't have any power. I'm letting you know that I'm the one true God. Read on up.
And against all the gods of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
Read on up.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
So now it's explaining the blood is a token for us. Read on up.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you.
He would do what?
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you.
Hence the name what? Passover. Because guess what? When we was obedient to what the Most High God commanded us, he passed over us to kill the Egyptians. Read on up.
And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you.
And that's what we asking for today. Because guess what? The Most High God is out there sending what? Plagues on the earth, man. The same way he was doing back then, he's doing it today too. And we asking, raise it, man. Plague it, man. But guess what? We want to be in the spirit, brothers and sisters. We want to make sure that you're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. So we can see, not see those plagues. Read on up.
I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
Read on up.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial.
So this day that's coming up is a memorial, not Esau's Memorial Day, because our people know how to keep those things without even thinking. But we don't know how to keep God's law, statutes, and commandments, how it's commanded in the Bible. That's what we slowly but surely get back to, brothers and sisters. This is our Memorial Day. Read on up.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generation.
Read that again up.
And ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generation.
Now, like we say when we're out there on the streets, throughout your generations mean what? As long as you generating kids over and over again forever. Read on up.
And ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
And guess what? It's a feast that's kept by an ordinance. That means order or a law. Read on up.
Oh, look, the last part. Read the last part over again.
A feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
It said forever. Forever. This is an ordinance forever. We must keep Passover forever. So guess what? When people saying that they don't keep the Passover, because there's people out here saying that they don't supposed to keep Passover. But this just it clearly said this is supposed to be forever. So we can't get our mindset no matter what you hear. Hey, we rather trust God rather than man.
That's exactly right. Every single time, brothers and sisters. Read verse 15 now.
7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread.
So for those 7 days, we should be eating unleavened bread, brothers and sisters. Read on up.
Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your house.
And like I said, that's what we get to. The first day we should be doing what? Putting leaven out of our house, getting the yeast all out of our house. Like we say with the bread, with certain cakes, a lot of cakes, even certain beers have yeast in it. So y'all want to make sure that y'all look at these things and go over these things diligently, brothers and sisters. Read on up.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Read that last part again.
For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day.
Whoever don't get these things out of their houses and eaten, read on up.
That soul shall be cut off from Israel.
That means the Most High will kill you. Now, the thing is, we understand that we have grace. We understand that, guess what? A just man falleth 7 times. That's why we go over these classes, because we know some brothers and sisters may slip up. But guess what? The more and more you be in this truth, the more diligent you be in this truth, like we said, the more perfectly you can start keeping these laws. Because it's not hard. These things are not hard to keep. Like we said, we sometimes go over it, and we should have been more on it. Like we said, not buying too much, especially with the things going on. You don't want to have too much bread in your house, because guess what? You got to get rid of that stuff. You know, we got to keep these laws, statutes, commandments, and it's only for a week. And that's where your faith comes in at. Understanding that the Most High God will provide for us the things that we do need. Read on up.
Verse 16. And in the first day, there should be an holy convocation.
Like how we read a holy gathering. Read on up.
And in the seventh day, there should be an holy convocation to you.
Uh-huh.
No manner of work shall be done in them,
Mm-hmm.
save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
That only may be what?
Done of you.
That only may be done of you. Read on up.
And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in it, this self same day, have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore, shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
And the Most High keeps reiterating these things because you know, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we hard-headed, man. So we got to hear things over and over again. So guess what? It's in there over and over again to kind of get it in our head to understand that this is very serious. Read on up.
In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even.
So it's telling us from even to even. Read on up. 19.
7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, eat that soul shall be cut off. Even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
Most High God wasn't playing with the other nations either. You know, during this time, they was our what? They was our servants and handmaids. So guess what? They had to keep these things as well. Just like, guess what? Lord's will, we make it to the kingdom. Brothers and sisters, they're going to be up in there keeping that thing. Ain't nobody going to be exempt from keeping the Lord's Passover, man. Nobody. The Feast of Tabernacles, none of these things. Read on up.
Ye shall eat nothing leavened in your habitation. You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitation shall you eat unleavened bread.
Shall we eat unleavened bread? Jump down to verse 26.
Verse 26. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, what mean ye by this service?
Because we know we have the children. They very questionable. They asking questions day and night. So guess what? It's our job to do what? Train up a child in the way he should go, according to the law. So when they asked us, guess what? It's our job to do what? Give this history, give this understanding to them. Read that again,
And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Lord will give you.
Verse 26.
Verse 26. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, what mean by this service?
Daddy, mama, why we keep this? Why are we celebrating these things? Read on up.
Then that ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover.
We tell them it's the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover. It's Passover. Read on up.
Who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses.
When he saved us, he killed off all the Africans, the so-called Hamites, and guess what? Saved the children of Israel. That's what this is all about. This is a very important high holy day, man. Read on up.
And the people bowed the head and worshiped.
And did what?
And the people bowed the head and worshiped.
Jump down to verse 34, 33.
Verse 33. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men.
So they was ready to get all the Israelites up out of their den, because guess what? They knew what had happened to them. So they thought if they kept us there any longer, they was surely he was gonna kill off all of them. Read on up.
And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs before being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders.
So verse 34 says, and the people took their dough before it was leavened. So guess what? We had to get up out of there even before we could put leaven in the bread. That's where you get the term what? Unleavened bread. Because we didn't have enough time to put leaven in the bread. Most High was killing them. Guess what? Y'all don't want to be part of this? Better, hey, see you when I see you. Gotta go. You know, leave all that stuff behind. And that's what, guess what? That's what the Most High is asking us. Leave all these things behind and follow me. Even what Christ was asking the disciples when he was putting them together. Read on up.
Verse 35. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses. And they borrowed up the Egyptians jewels and silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in his sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required.
Read on up.
And they spoiled the Egyptians.
Not only did he let us go out of there, guess what? We took very many riches with us, man. We spoiled the Egyptians. We know that they was the superpower on the earth during that time. So guess what? They was full of wealth. Most High said, "Give me, y'all get in." Spoiled them. Was able to get those gold, that jewelry, type of precious metals that we needed for our trip.
Because guess what? When the Lord was tearing them up, look at it, when they did find little gold, man, I'm talking about, they was like, hey man, y'all take whatever y'all want, man.
Right.
Y'all want this too? Hey man, I got a chandelier. Can you carry that, man? Hey, they want us to get up out of there, man.
That's right. Read verse 37.
Verse 37. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside children.
So it was about 600,000 of us that came up out of there. Read on up.
And a mixed multitude went up also with them.
And a mixed multitude. So guess what? We had other nations, which were our what? Servants and handmaids. They was not as Israelites. But guess what? That's what Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68 come into play. The same people that's among you shall do what? Get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. The Most High God always had the nations around us to do what? To prove us by. So if we will keep the commandments. So if we kept the commandments, we'll be above them. But if we broke the commandments, what? He used them to punish us. That was their only reason, to be servants and handmaids and to be God's belt to our butt when we get out of line. Read on out.
And a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt.
They didn't have time, because guess what? They threw us up out of Egypt. So we didn't have time to put leaven in there. So that was symbolic for us to, guess what? Keep continuing that tradition, that law. Read on up.
And could not tarry. Neither had they prepared for themselves any victual.
Any victuals, victuals, food or anything. Read on up.
Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years.
Because a lot of times we'll touch on this too a little bit. A lot of times this is the prophecy that the Most High God did what? Gave Abraham. Because a lot of times people think that Abraham was talking about this time that we was in America. Give me Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. I would say, we want to touch on subjects that come up that a lot of times people don't have the correct understanding of. 15 and 13. And this is the point to let brothers and sisters know that this wasn't a prophecy about America.
Genesis 15:13. And he said unto Abram, know of surety that the seed shall be a stranger in the land.
Read that again out.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not there.
So when we strangers in the land that was not ours, in the land of Ham, read on up.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. 430
years to be exact. So y'all write that precept there. Because guess what? How long have we been in the American captivity? Way over 400 years. Because guess what? We got to understand Christopher killing Columbus sailed over in what? 1492. So that's way past 400 years.
And that 28 to be exact.
All praise out.
And that 430 years at the time when Moses got this, from the time when we went from the time he got this prophecy to the time we went into slavery was 215 years. And the other 215 years was the time we were in Egypt, which could total 430 years.
Mm-hmm. So this is that prophecy that it was referring to when the Most High God brought us out of Egypt. Now, guess what? This is spiritual Egypt as well. Mm-hmm. But guess what? This salvation is going to be way glorious than what he did in Egypt, man. They're not going to even talk about the salvation that he brought us out of Egypt on. They're going to be talking about the American captivity, the American salvation. Read on out.
And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance.
Because guess what? We still in captivity in America. They ain't gave us no great substance. We're our 40 acres and a mule. We ain't getting none of that stuff. So this is letting you know that this is that prophecy, because when we came up out of Egypt, they was throwing treasures at us. Man, here, take what you want.
Not only that, he gonna bring us out of the four corners of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna bring us out the four corners of the earth. That's even bigger than just coming out of America.
Yeah, exactly.
They still throwing stuff at us, just not no treasure.
That's right. May get a boot thrown at you or something, boy. Let's go back to Exodus. So we call it it's unleavened because we didn't have any time to put leaven in the dough. We had to get out of Egypt in a hurry because he was the Most High God was jacking up the Egyptians. Read verse 13 and verse 1. Exodus chapter 13 and verse 1.
Exodus 13 and 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine.
So guess what? We belong to the Most High. No other nation has that privilege. We are the only one that have that privilege. Read on up.
And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day in which he came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from this place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten.
So he's reiterating these things over and over again.
And let me read that part. Read verse 3 again. I'm gonna show y'all something because this kind of symbolic of this is the foundation of the Bible. What Moses is talking about. Read verse 3 again.
Verse 3. And Moses said unto the people, Remember this day.
Hold up. Now, every time the Lord, even in all our captivities, what did the Lord? He said, Lord said, remember when I took you out of Egypt. Every time he whooped our butt about it, remember this. He put the remembrance of this, of Egypt. That's what we always, when you read in the Bible, you see the Lord told us, remember Egypt so many times in the Bible. And Moses is telling the people right now, this is the time Moses telling the people right now, hey man, y'all better remember this day. Just like us, we reading about what? The captivity of what? Egypt. He told us to remember the day. So when you read your Bible, just know Moses spoke this right here, and it went all the way throughout the Bible. That's how the Lord dealt with our forefathers in giving instructions. When he gave instructions, he gave straight commandments, man. That's why he told us remember this day. So when he breaking this down, he's showing you about Egypt. It also just shows you about the symbolic of the person. The old man, you're supposed to get away from me. You're supposed to let go, and it's showing you about how the Lord was favored us. So that's why he said, "Remember Egypt." It's always something that you should get in your mindset. Remember Egypt until he take us out of this captivity.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And then that's another thing, though. When you remember in Egypt, you got to put yourselves in this position. When we was in Egypt, that's where you get the feeling in that oh, this is Egypt. But a lot of times when we think about Egypt, we don't think of us.
That's right.
You know, we just think of them people was in Egypt. Negro, that was y'all in Egypt. So you got to place yourself in there, and when you're reading this, you got to realize this was you stomping on that mud without no straw. That was you out there.
That's exactly right, man. We have to put ourselves in that mind frame because that's one of the main things that plague our community or our nation of people. We don't see ourselves as being the people of the book. We do not see that thing. No matter how many precepts we bring out, how many color scriptures we bring out, a lot of our people conscious is seared with Christianity, man. It's seared, and we trying to break those strongholds down by constantly bringing out this history, bringing out the understanding of the scriptures, bringing out who you are, showing you who you are in this book, man. Give me the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16 and verse 3.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 3. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith. Even the bread of affliction.
Even the what?
Even the bread of affliction.
Start there from the top again.
Deuteronomy 16 and 3. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith. Even the bread of affliction.
So the feast of unleavened bread is also what? The bread of affliction. Because the Most High God was bringing affliction upon the Israelites, upon the Egyptians, Salaki. And that was a memorial for that as well, too. Read on up.
For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt, all the days of thy life.
So just like the captives was going into, there's a memorial for us to remember all the days of our life, because guess what? We had to come out in haste. I'm talking about get everything, pack it up real quick. You know, we was rushing during that time. You may left some stuff. Oh well, guess what? I got my life. Forget all that other stuff. As long as I got the most important things. Let's go back to Exodus chapter 13 and verse 8.
Exodus 13 and 8. And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt.
Read on out.
And it shall be for a sign unto thee.
So guess what? The Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, is a sign unto us. Read on up.
Upon thine head, upon thine hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes.
What's between your eyes, your brain? For you to constantly think and meditate on these things. Read on up.
That the Lord's law may be in thy mouth.
Read that again up.
That the Lord's law may be in thy mouth.
Constantly remembering these things, that guess what? That the Lord's law may be in our mouth. Read on up.
For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt.
Because he brought us out with a very, very strong hand. Only because guess what? We was being obedient unto him. Putting the blood on the doorpost. These are the things that gets us into the kingdom. These are the things that have the Most High God fight for us. Like we asking him to do today, constantly, brothers and sisters. Jump back, give me Exodus. We're going to jump back up to Exodus chapter 12, verse 15.
Exodus 12 and 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your house. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Now give me a precept. Give me 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 6. Like we said, because even during this time, we know that guess what? Christ, the disciples, even after Christ died, guess what? Paul and them, they was keeping these things, man. They kept the tradition going. They kept the law, statutes, and commandments going.
1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 6. Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump.
Read that again now.
Your glory is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump.
Now, when it's going into this, because like we said, it's on two fronts. It's good side of leaven, but it's also what? The bad side of leaven. So guess what? A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Leaven is symbolic to what? Sin. So a little sin in the congregation, guess what? Leaveneth the whole lump. That's why we be on brothers and sisters, man, because guess what? We're trying to constantly keep God's laws and statutes and commandments correctly. So that guess what? He may bless us, so he don't bring judgment on us, especially the leaders that he have set up. You know, we cannot play the games, because guess what? We were representing the Most High. So we have to bring judgment according to thus saith the Lord. So guess what? It doesn't overspill, because we know that these things run rapid up in church. How many times you got the homosexual choir conductor, or you got a pastor that's up in there sleeping with everybody up in there's wives? Leon Lunny Love, like I like to call it. I'm talking about sin running rapid all up in there, man. Sisters coming to church with the shortest dresses that they can ever find, sitting at the front. You know, it's just a debacle, man. It's just a sham, man, and that's sad. You know, like we say, that old saying, the pastor's child is the most terrible up in the building, man. They ain't getting no correction. They getting that butt whooped at home, not keeping the law, statutes, commandments, because guess what? Their father is not teaching them those things. So these things is, guess what? So that the leaven don't leaven it the whole lump. We can't play the games up in here, brothers and sisters. Read on out.
Verse 7. Purge out there for the old leaven.
Read that again out.
Purge out there for the old leaven.
And that's what we're telling brothers and sisters during this time. Purge out the old leaven. Purge out that old sin on brothers and sisters. Read on out.
That ye may be a new lump.
That you may be a new lump, or a what? A new creature. Read on out.
As ye are unleavened.
Read that again, that last part.
As ye are unleavened.
Because that's what we're constantly trying to be, unleavened. We're trying to be, guess what? We're trying to make it to the kingdom. Read on out.
For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us.
Because that's why Christ died on the cross for us, not to sacrifice again. Because guess what? If we was doing sacrifices during this time, man, how many of us would be put to death, man? All of us. I'm talking about all of us, man. So we have to thank the Most High God that he sent his only son to take away the sacrificial law for us, to be that sacrificial lamb with no blemish. And that's the thing, that's the standard that we're trying to rise to, Christ, man. Give me read on verse 8.
Verse 8. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
Read that again from the top.
Therefore, let us keep the feast.
So it's telling you that, guess what? Paul was keeping the feast. So we heard, I know we were dealing with a sister one time. She was talking about, show me where they was keeping the feast. And we read this and she rejected it. We like, sisters right there. They kept the commandments. They was keeping the high holy days. They wasn't breaking the laws. You think the Most High God gonna send Paul out to do his will, personally teach Paul, and Paul gonna go off on his own accord? No, they was keeping the commandments. Read verse 8 again.
Verse 8, therefore let us keep the feast.
Like we telling brothers and sisters, let us keep the feast, brothers and sisters, the best way that we can. Read on.
Not with old leaven.
Not with that old sin, brothers and sisters. Read on.
Neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
Neither with malice and wickedness, because we know brothers and sisters have wicked and malicious spirits on them. Guess what? That's what the counsel is for. That's what it's for, brothers and sisters, because guess what? You don't want those things to sow in you and guess what? Fester like cancer or like a wildfire and it spreads, man, without getting these things taken care of, thus saith the Lord. Let's deal with these things in decency and in order, according to the scriptures. Read on up.
But with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
That's what we need to have as coming back as a nation of people. Be sincere about helping your brother or your sister. Don't just go through the motion with doing it. Be joyful to help your brother or sister. It says with sincerity and truth. We know what the truth is. What is the truth?
Psalm 119 and 142.
Exactly. Psalms 119 verse 142, which is the laws of God. These are the things that we're esteeming to come to. Give me Matthew chapter 16 and verse 6. So like we say, we want to be a new creature each year. We got to thank the Most High that he's blessing us to see another new year to get things right. That's what we should be praying for, brothers and sisters, as well. But like we say, it's good types of leaven, but it's also bad types of leaven. And these are the things that we're trying to keep far away from us, far away from brothers and sisters, and far away from the congregation. Read this,
Matthew 16 and 6. Then Yahushua said unto them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees.
Christ was, like we know Christ was always cutting up the Pharisees and scribes. And we know that, like we say, a lot of these is going into the Christian pastors. A lot of these things, because guess what? The scribes and Pharisees, they weren't keeping the laws, man. Read that again from the top.
Matthew 16 and 6.
Then you say not all of them. Read on up.
Then Yahushua said unto them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees.
What is the leaven? What was the sin of the Pharisees and Sadducees? Give me Matthew chapter 23 and verse 1. Hold your precept.
Matthew 23 and 1. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
They sit in Moses' seat. Moses was what? A leader. So the scribes and Pharisees took the place of Moses as being what? The leaders of the nation. So guess what? To give us the laws, statutes, and commandments. These is what the pastors should be doing today. But you always got TD snakes trying to speak for the people. You should be speaking this Bible. That's all that you should be speaking, man. This is what's gonna get us out of the condition that we in. Like we tell brothers, what's the solution to black on black crime? Leviticus chapter 19, verse 17. Applying God's laws, statutes, and commandments. These are the things that help get our lives back in order. Not paying you more and more tithes so you can buy another private plane, man. These things that's not helping the people, man. Read on up.
Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to the disciples, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. All therefore whatsoever they bid, you observe and do.
It says, all therefore whatsoever they bid you, that observe and do. So the things that they tell you, guess what? That's what you should do. Read on up.
But do not ye after their works.
But Christ is letting them know, don't do ye after their works. Read on up.
For they say and do not.
Because they would tell you to do something, but they themselves wouldn't be doing. Just like today. They tell us all different type of things, but they're not doing nothing that this Bible say. You know, brother's favorite quote with Joel Osteen, this is my Bible. What are you doing with it? You don't even, you never open. You don't even have a reason to have it, our Bible in their hand, man. But he always quoting that thing, but you never see them open the Bible and actually read what's coming up out of the Bible. So this was the leaven of the scribes and the Pharisees. They would tell you to be keeping the commandments, but they wouldn't be keeping the commandments. We are the leaders. We are supposed to set the examples. You teach two ways, brothers and sisters. You teach by what? Word of mouth, and you also teach by example. You have to have both of them. You cannot have one without the other. Let's go back to Matthew chapter 16.
Book of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 6. Then Yahweh shall say unto them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, it is because we have taken no bread.
Now the disciples, Christ was speaking to them in parables. The disciples didn't know what Christ was really going into, but he's going to explain it. Read on up.
Which when Yahweh shall perceive, he said unto them, O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves? Because ye have bought no bread.
They thinking Christ was giving them the understanding because they didn't bring no bread, nothing to eat. Read on up.
Do ye not yet understand? Neither remember that 5 loaves of the 5,000, and how many baskets he took up.
During the time where Christ fed 5,000 people. Read on up.
Neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets he took up.
Because guess what? Even during that time, Christ was showing them miracles, man. And guess what? He's let them know they still didn't understand. Read on up.
How is it that ye do not understand that I spake it not to your concerning bread?
Christ wasn't talking about them and their bread. Read on out. The disciples' bread. Read on.
That ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees.
Christ was giving them the understanding, beware of the leaven, beware of the sin of the Sadducees and the scribes, beware of the leaders. Because guess what? The leaders cause the people to err. Where that scripture at? I need that. They that caused them to err. Jeremiah, was that Jeremiah? 23. Give me Jeremiah 23 and verse 1.
Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, said the Lord.
Read on up.
Therefore, thus said the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, said the Lord.
Because guess what? The Most High God is going to bring their head back up on them. Because guess what? They should be feeding the people the law, statutes, and commandments, and they're not teaching our people a damn thing, man. That's why everything is all out of order. The house is out of order. The neighborhood's out of order. Everything is all out of whack because guess what? They're not doing their job. So now the Most High God is raising up brothers from the gutter, from the hoods, and doing his work, man. That's the people that he's going to go get, not prestigious brothers that sit behind a pool pick. No, go out to them streets, man, where our people really need.
Yeah, verse 13.
Verse 13.
No.
Oh, go ahead, Captain Nehemiah.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 22 and verse 25. Goes into that same thing, what I'm talking about with the so-called leaders that we're supposed to have in our walk. There is a conspiracy of her prophets in the midst thereof, like a roaring lion raving the prey. They have devoured souls. They have taken the treasure and the precious things. They have made her many widows in the midst thereof. Her priests have violated my law.
Read that again.
Her priests have violated my law and have profaned mine holy things. They have put no difference between the holy and the profane. And we know in the church, they ain't put no difference. Oh, you can just pray over the pork. It's all good. We worship the Lord every day. They don't put no difference between the unclean and the holy. And it say, between the holy and the profane. Neither have they showed difference between the unclean and the clean, and have hid their eyes from my Sabbaths, and I am profaned among them. That shoots right at the heart of them.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't putting no difference between the most high holy things and these unclean things of this world. They just say you can have a free fall, do what you want to do. The Lord will forgive you.
And then they tell you what, that's what their main slogan is, the laws is done away with. Well, we just read that, guess what? We are commanded to keep the Passover for what? Forever. So we know that's one of the obvious laws that is upon many other obvious laws. Give me the book of Luke, chapter 12 and verse 1. They should be teaching us how to keep Passover. They should be teaching us how to keep unleavened bread, man.
But instead they're gonna teach you Easter.
Exactly.
And,
That's exactly right, Doc.
Good Friday and all these other things.
And then don't even teach that way.
Yeah, for real. On top of that, they showed, don't Doc?
They gonna give you an Easter speech and
Basket.
send you on up there.
Bring the basket.
Eggs.
What's say? I said an Easter speech on the basket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they ain't even gonna teach you how to do Easter well. They ain't gonna tell you the origins of Easter,
Right.
what it's really going into. They just gonna say, and they just show you the level of our people in captivity. They just gonna do.
That's right.
They not gonna look into. They not gonna really see if this is what we supposed to be doing. Which the white man gonna show you right on Google what it's all about. They don't care about that. The Lord will forgive us. Okay.
Put you in some expensive clothes and then send you out there to look for some dang on Easter egg in the grass.
An Easter suit and an Easter
And an Easter speech.
and an Easter speech.
And like we say, and our people still had cut off. And guess what? Bunnies don't even lay eggs, man.
Lying to you in the church.
I know what they do, late. I don't know if anybody ever seen a bunny, but they leave a trail.
Turds.
A lot of them.
Is that cat word?
That's probably what that cat. Yeah, it look just like a Cadbury egg too.
Like I said, these are the things they teaching us leaven, but they should be teaching us unleavened to keep the commandments. Read Luke chapter 12, verse 1.
Luke 12 and 1. In the meantime, when there were gathered together an innumerable multitude of people, and so much that they trod up one upon another, he began to say unto his disciples, first of all.
So guess what? When Christ was out there teaching, everybody wanted to hear. He had the building packed, man. They was one on top of each other, man, trying to hear the word. Because they knew that Christ, guess what, was coming with the knowledge. He was coming with the true understanding of the word. Read on up.
Beware ye of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy.
Which is what?
Hypocrisy.
Because guess what? They are straight hypocrites up in those churches, man. That's why Christ was steady warning us. Guess what? Just like they are today. They do all these different type of things, but they steady taking underhanded money from the government to destroy our people.
Right.
A lot of these things, when we pull back the covers on, man, you'll be surprised at the things that brothers come across. Read that again, out that last part.
Beware ye of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy.
Beware ye of the leaven, which is sin of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. Read on out.
For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed.
So the things that they doing, guess what? It's being exposed every day. People starting to see that, guess what? The things that they are teaching is not in the Bible. When they actually open up, well, you got that Cesar Borgia image, but the Bible said that his description is something totally different from that. You saying that Easter, but guess what? The Bible say Passover. You saying we ain't got to keep the laws, but Christ gave us the understanding to get to the kingdom, you got to keep the laws.
Let me get a precept.
Go ahead, Doc.
Galatians 5 and 6. That's what those pastors do, man. They man, I guess this is what they set up for, man. Stumbling block, man.
They are.
You get there, I'll read it.
The book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 7. Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that you should not obey the truth?
Because guess what, man? That's what the scribes and Pharisees did. They ran well, but they hindered people from the truth, though. Read on.
Verse 8. This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you.
Now they're persuaded, they ain't come from the Lord, man, the way they try to persuade our people not to keep these high holy days and stuff like that. Read on.
A little leaven leaveth the whole lump.
He said a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, man. Man, look, he set our prophets up, man, to give the word, man. Read on up.
I have confidence in you through the Lord, that you will be none otherwise minded. But he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be.
So when them pastors sitting up there telling you not to keep the Passover, telling you not to keep the God's laws is done away with, because a lot of times when people think of the Passover, when Christ came, it became a stumbling block to a lot of people, because now all of a sudden they don't want to do the Passover anymore. They said no more Passover. That's why Brother Paul was explaining that thing, telling a little leaven leavened the whole lump, man.
Because the leaven that, guess what, the pastors teach up in there, why you think is, like we say, Christianity is a role reversal religion. You got a lot of effeminate men up in there, and you got a lot of masculine sisters up in there. Because guess what, a little leaven, that sin that he's out there teaching our people, that guess what, you can be whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, just come to church and pay me your money. You'll make it to heaven. That's lies, man. That's sin, and they're gonna be judged for that thing, man. They're gonna be held to the fire. Best believe that, brothers. So go ahead, up.
Ezekiel 33 and 31. Well, no scripture, but man, they come before us as they church. Oh yeah, I'm this, I'm holy. They won't do the laws, man. They won't do the words of the law, man.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 33 and verse 31. And they coming unto thee as the people come. They seated before thee as my people.
They sit before us as, yeah, they children of the Most High God. They sit before us. They talk pastor in there every Sunday doing his thing, you know what I'm saying, shucking and jiving. They coming to us as the people of the Lord.
And they hear thy word.
They hear the words. They got the book open. Well, some of them do, most of them don't. Well, some of them got the book open. And that one or two scripture they pull is still gonna be a scripture out of the Bible. They don't understand it though, but they hear the word.
But they will not do them.
But what?
But they will not do them.
No, we're gonna keep doing Easter.
But they will not do them.
Yeah, we got Cadbury bunnies outside lined up.
But they will not do them.
Now the little children, they come to church today, they doing Easter egg hunt.
But they will not do
But
them.
they won't do them. The Bible clearly states we should do the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We should do Passover. We should do all the feasts of high holy days. But they won't do them, man. They hear the word, but they won't do them. Go ahead.
For with their mouth they show much love.
They do show shut them down with their mouth, don't they? They'll show how you thinking they are the children. Well, they them people. Oh, they ain't holier than that. They talk with their mouth.
But their heart goeth after their covetousness.
Man, they doing this thing for their own game, man.
For a private jet.
Micah 3 and 8 all day. They do this thing for their own game, man. They just trying to see how big their congregation can get. Trying to see if they can get a mega church one day. A mega church full of mega lives.
That's right. Jump. Give me 34 and 1. Read that while we right there.
Yeah, for real. Ezekiel 34 and 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel.
Do what?
Prophesy against the shepherds of Israel.
Because when we bring out these classes, guess what? You know we always gonna throw shots at Christianity pastors, man, especially of our people. Because guess what? You don't think TD Snakes don't know hadn't read the Bible? He be all on Facebook saying that he know he an Israelite. He know he a Hebrew.
Right.
So why you ain't teaching our people that?
Right.
What about Farrakhan
Same thing.
in Islam? But guess what? He say he always know that he was an Israelite.
That's right.
So why you not teaching our people to be Israelites, to keep the law, statutes, and commandments?
And they quick to say they're a child of God, right? But if you read in the Bible what happened to the children of Israel, the children of God, for them being disobedient, why don't you resonate that to the people?
Right.
You'll tell them you're a child of God. Well, tell them what happened to the children of Israel when they disobeyed
That's
the
right.
Most High God.
Good point.
These people is tripping, man. They really tripping, man.
That's exactly right. Because they go ahead, huh?
They not giving no understanding of the stuff that they doing, nor they not giving no understanding of the true Bible. So they just killing the people on all fronts. You ain't even gonna explain what we doing here for Christmas, for Easter, for Halloween, and then on top of that, you're not gonna explain what God told us to do. So that it's like quicksand being up in them churches, man.
For real.
Read that again, huh? 34 verse
Ezekiel
1.
34 verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say unto them, Thus said the Lord God unto the shepherds.
Unto the pastors, because guess what? A shepherd is someone that guides the flock.
That's
The
right.
pastor should be guiding the flock of Israel. Read on up.
Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed
Because
themselves.
guess what? They feed themselves. They filling their pockets up full of money. They feed themselves, boy. You see that belly on TD Snakes, boy? He needs to go on a couple of fasts, man. Read on out.
Should not the shepherds feed the flock?
Read that again out.
Should not the shepherds feed the flock?
The shepherds, the pastors, they should be teaching our people what they doing wrong according to the Bible, and then get them back on the right track. Because like we said, just because they good, they okay, man. You know, they don't care about the people. Because like we always tell brothers and sisters, if one of us is not doing good, we all not doing good. Because guess what? The Most High God made us to be the kings and princes of this earth. We supposed to be the rulers, but guess what? We not in our right mind state. Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 4, I want to read 4. The disease have ye not strengthened.
Read that again.
The disease have ye not strengthened.
Because guess what? We are a diseased nation of people because we're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
And I'm gonna show you another way how they strengthen the diseases. When they don't tell you God, they tell you that the laws is done away with. Now you fornicate.
That's right.
Now you commit now you doing all kind of drugs. Now you can go do anything, dang on thing you want to do, man. That's how they strengthen the diseases. That's why the Lord said he's gonna put disease on us that's not even written in his Bible on us, man. Because guess what? We refuse to keep God's laws, man.
Because you know, in the church, how they say they got saved, right? And then a couple weeks later, they say, "Oh man, I done backslid." You ain't backslid because you ain't never started doing right. You should hear it all the time. Oh, Sister Betty done backslid. She wasn't never doing what she's supposed to do in the first place. So you ain't backsliding because you ain't on the right path.
Yeah. Another big problem is these eulogy pastors, man. Every time somebody get in that box, they saying that brother went up in heaven.
Oh my God.
That's why people doing what they want to do. Because you go to these funerals, and the first thing they say, "Oh, well, he got his wings today."
Bring it out.
No, he didn't, man.
Right.
That brother ain't got no wings. That brother gone back to the dust, man. That soul gone, man. That brother show ain't getting no wings. That brother, come on, bro.
You robbed everybody on the block, man.
This little Ray. Y'all know Ray, man. Stop it. Right. Then one of the Israelites coming there and telling them, "Well, you get your butt kicked out of that thing." But that's a big problem, man, because they eulogy pastor. Oh yeah, he gone up in heaven.
Right. How you get your wings and you been gang banging for 15 years?
Come on, man. And you,
Chicken wings.
and you 17. You 17 years old. You've been gang banging for 15 years. As a 3 years old, Facebook, you was on that throwing up sign. 3 years old.
Hey man, they gonna get the wings. They gonna go straight to root.
Read verse 4 again.
Ezekiel 34:4. The disease have ye not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick.
That's our job as being a nation of people, as being leaders. We're supposed to heal our people that's sick, because our people out here, they sick and they hurting, man. Our people don't know up from down. They don't know left from right, man. Read on up.
Neither have you bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away.
Because our job is to heal the brokenhearted, to let them know that guess what? Once you deal in low self-esteem, like we say, and once you hear that you an Israelite, man, that automatically should shoot your self-esteem up to the top, man. I'm God's chosen people. I'm above all people. But our people have been so stricken so much that even when we tell them that, like I always say, they say F you. Right. Like, brother, I'm telling you, the greatest people, man, they give us the finger.
And I'm telling you, F you. Read on. Neither have ye sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have you ruled them.
Going into these other nations, going into these wicked pastors, man, they ruling us wicked. A precept 2 is give me Isaiah chapter 1 verse 4. One verse 4, 5, and 6.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 4. A sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity,
Laden with sin, read on up.
a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord.
We forsaken the Lord by not keeping his high holy days and not keeping his commandments. Read on up.
They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger.
And that's why you see him bringing these judgments, bringing these plagues upon the earth. Read on up.
They are going away backward.
And our people are backsliding out of God's law, statutes, commandments. Read on up.
Why should he be stricken anymore?
Why should I keep punishing y'all anymore? Read on up.
You will revolt more and more.
Our people are rebellious, and we'll rebel and we'll rebel. Read on up.
The whole head is sick.
Our whole head is sick, Israel. Read on up.
And the whole heart is faint.
Read on up.
From the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it. Soundness, a lot. From the sole of the foot, even from the head, there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises.
But what?
But wounds and bruises.
Read on up.
And purifying and purifying swords. They have not been closed.
That have not been what?
They have not been
Because
closed.
like we say, the Bible heals all things. Read on up.
They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment.
Because what is the mollifying ointment? The Bible, the law, statutes, and commandments. These are the things that we need to give our people to heal them.
Right.
Give me 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Because as we keep in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, we want brothers and sisters to constantly meditate on getting themselves right, man. Like how we've been bringing out these classes for weeks and weeks now. You know, we see that the day is getting nearer and nearer. Guess what? Sisters, brothers and sisters should be doing what? Growing and growing, getting better and better. We don't want to get worse and worse, man. Read this.
2 Corinthians 5 and 17. Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new.
You can also precept that with 1 Corinthians 5 and 7, going into that old leaven. Because that's what, when we come up out of that new leaven, so like, we want to be new creatures in this truth, man. Especially like we say, celebrating the Passover, the Most High God has given us the understanding. Shake off that old leaven. Shake off that old sin, brothers and sisters. Like we say, that's symbolic for you getting a leaven out of your house. You getting that symbolically out of your house, but spiritually you getting it out of your bodies, which also is a house too, your temple, man.
Right.
Read on, huh?
And all things are of God, who has reconciled us to himself by Yahushua, and have given to us the ministry of reconciliation.
He had given us the ministry of reconciliation. Most High God sent Christ to reconcile us back to him. Because the Most High God was done with both kingdoms, man. He was sick and tired of them because they were just steady going off and off, like how we just read in the book of Isaiah chapter 1, verse 4. Read on that.
Hold on, let me get a precept. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 5, right quick, and we go back. Because Christ was that reconciliation for us, man. And man, look, and a lot of people, man, they disrespect Christ, man. Like he ain't, man, God's son, man. And look, man, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have grace, man. And people running their mouth about a lot of different stuff they don't understand. Read out.
2 Peter 2 and 5.
Mm-hmm. First Peter 2 and 5. So like
1 Peter
2 and 5.
Chapter 2, verse 5.
Uh-huh.
Ye also, as lively stones, are built up a spiritual house.
This is Israel. We have built up the spiritual house. Read.
And holy priesthood.
So that's what the Lord calls us, man. A holy priesthood, according to verse 9. Read on.
To offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God by Yahushua.
By Yahushua, man. The spiritual sacrifice that we supposed to be giving, man. This is no longer a physical sacrifice that we have to give, because Christ came and was that ultimate sacrifice, man.
Spiritual sacrifice.
Now we got to give up spiritual sacrifice, obedience to his law, statutes, and commandments, man. That's what the Lord have given us, man. So we got to be giving our spiritual sacrifices up to the Most High, man, every day.
Right.
Because we are a nation of priests. Guess what? The Levites was the priest that gave physical sacrifice, but the Lord ordained us being priests, a nation of priests, that give him spiritual sacrifices now, since Yahushua came and died for us, man. Go back up.
Let's go back to 2 Corinthians. Where's good precept? 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 18.
Second Corinthians chapter 5, verse 18. And all things are of God, who has reconciled us to himself by Yahushua, and has given to us the ministry of reconciliation. To wit, that God was in Christ.
That he was what?
To wit, that God was in Christ.
That he was in Christ, not that he was Christ. Read on up.
Reconciling the world unto himself.
Who is that world that he's talking about? The children of Israel. Isaiah chapter what? 45 verse 17. This is not talking about the whole wide world. Let's get it right quick, man. We gotta get it, man. We know brothers and sisters should know, but for brothers and sisters that's watching online, like we say, we want to leave no stone unturned, man.
Book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded. World without end.
What did he call Israel?
World without end.
Israel is that world without end. Not talking about the whole wide world, the universe, because in the book, in the dictionary, the word world has what, 7 different definitions. But what does the Bible definition of the word world? Is the Israelites. Let's go back. Verse 19 again.
2 Corinthians 5:19. To wit, that God was in Yahweh reconciling the world unto himself,
Reconciling the Israelites unto himself. Read on out.
not imputing their trespass unto them, and had committed unto us the word of reconciliation.
Because without Christ, like we said, we all be put to death, man. So we all praises to the Most High for that thing, man. Read on out.
Now then, we are ambassadors for Christ.
And this is very heavy to brothers and sisters, man. Guess what? We are ambassadors, mainly to the brothers. Guess what? We speak on behalf of Christ and the Most High. So guess what? We should be speaking his word. And more importantly, we should be doing these things. Like even with the sisters, showing their actions, because they're ambassadors too. By their actions, showing the younger sisters how to guide themselves, how to live according to the Bible. Like we said, not being stereotyped as whores or being all out of control. We got to be ambassadors, brothers and sisters. Read that again.
Now then, we are ambassadors for Christ, as though God did beseech you by us. We pray you in Christ's stead, be ye reconciled to God.
Be reconciled to God, brothers and sisters. That's what this Passover is all about, man. Constantly. Stand in the spirit, man. Guess what? It's a new year. We want to have a great time at the Passover, doing a feast of unleavened bread, getting all the leaven out your house, man. More important, getting all the leaven out of your soul. Read on, out.
For he had made him to be sin for us.
Read that again, out.
For he had made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin.
Because you got a doctrine out here, sometimes Christ sinned by breaking the Sabbath, but the Bible just said who did no sin. Christ didn't break the commandments, man. So if Christ didn't break the commandments, that also means he did what? He wore fringes. That's right. Christ wore fringes if it's telling you that he kept the commandments. Read that again, out.
For he had made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him.
In him, brothers and sisters. And guess what? The Passover is also symbolic for who? For Christ. Because he was that ultimate sacrifice without blemish. Give me that in Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse give me verse 5.
The book of Hebrews chapter 10 verse 5. Wherefore, when he cometh unto the world, he said, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not. Sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not. But a body hast thou prepared.
But a what?
But a body hast thou prepared me.
That body was who? That body was Christ. Like I said, even symbolic to us today for the Passover. He was that ultimate lamb. He was that ultimate sacrifice that brought us back into the fold. Is that it on that? Read verse 5 again, up.
Verse 5. Where when he cometh into the world, he said, sacrifice and offering thou wouldest not, but a body hast thou prepared me.
That Christ was that body. Let's go back. Now give me Ephesians chapter 4, verse 22.
The book of Ephesians chapter 4, verse 22. That you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man.
Read that again from the top.
That you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man.
That's the things that we're constantly trying to do, brothers and sisters. Put off the old conversation concerning what? The former man. Read on up.
Which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust.
Read that again.
Which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust.
That the way that we used to be in the world, brothers and sisters, we know that thing was corrupt. We know that some brothers and sisters had foul mouths, man. Guess what? We know some brothers and sisters still working on that thing right now, man. The Lord working on me, man. He working on me. But guess what? We got to make haste because guess what? We are ambassadors for Christ. We are to set the example. Now, guess what? You want to cut somebody, cut them over with the scriptures, man. You know, you don't want to cut them over with cuss words and so forth, man. Read on up.
And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Read that again.
And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Because before we can do anything, what must has to change? Because, you know, we hear a lot of times, man, why don't y'all just give him money, man? What do we give that brother money? He ain't going to do nothing but smoke it up, man. We got to change brothers and sisters' mind. We got to change the way that they think. That's how you put off the old man. You got some up?
No. But like you definitely right, because like you say, you give him that money, he smoke it up, he be right back next week scout. So you didn't change nothing, you know. That's what that brother kept saying last week. Give him some money, give him some money. Brother, give him some money, he come right back next week, get the scout. We had to cut him up again, give him a couple more dollars.
Oh yeah, that's what I want.
He's selling weed
Yeah.
to
Yeah, go ahead. Read on up. Verse
23. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that ye put on the new man.
Do what?
And that ye put on the new man.
Hey, for the Passover brothers and sisters, hey, we want to see new men and new women up in there, man. Read on up.
Which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness.
We know what righteousness is. What is righteousness, brother Zach? Uh-huh. Uh-oh. I said he wanted to spar last night. We sparring right now.
It's Deuteronomy 6:25.
All praise, which is the commandments, man. So before we could do anything, guess what? We got to change brothers and sisters' minds out there, man. Give me Romans chapter 12, verse 2. I already know. No, I know, brother. What? Brother ain't gonna go there. Pull that thing.
Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And be not conformed to this world.
Read that again.
And be not conformed to this world.
Because a lot of times, even in these troubled times, our people conform to this world. You know, we love the curls of the world, man. We love to do what the world is doing, but guess what? They are. Every knee gonna bow down. Read on up.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
That's the thing that we got to get to, brothers and sisters. We got to renew brothers and sisters' mind. Salaki, but because you can, without changing, you got to change your mind first, man. First and foremost, man. Read that again,
And be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Going into what? That new Leaven. Read on out. That new man. Read on.
That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
That's what we constantly trying to prove, and that's what the Most High God is proving in us. What is that perfect will of God? Read on out.
For I say, through the grace given unto me.
Because we do have grace, but guess what? Grace runs out of time, brothers and sisters. Read on out.
To every man that is among you.
Every man or every sister, read on out.
Not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think.
Read that again now.
Not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think.
Don't get in that mind frame, brothers and sisters, because guess what? It was by grace that the Most High God woke us up, man. So we can't never have that arrogant attitude that just because we got a little knowledge, we don't want to get puffed up, brothers and sisters, man. Because I know sometimes getting this understanding, it will puff you up, boy. That thing will puff you up, man. Most High got to pop you and blow that air up out of you, man.
Because like I say, a lot of times brothers and sisters, sometimes they get a little knowledge on them and they start learning, then they start watching other videos, then they get drifted away, then they come back with a lot of questions. We can tell every time. The Spirit say it may look at me, they do the same thing over and over again. They learn a little something all year, you know what I'm saying? They try to teach their family, they might cut one of their brothers up or sisters up or something. Then next thing you know, they start watching another video. And now they got a lot of questions. Then we go to the precept, and we keep going through the precept. Then every week that person, we keep going to the precept. Like, okay, then you think we don't know you watching video? Yeah. We see it. We see it.
Think too highly of yourself. Pride. That's the biggest factor. That pride. We know pride is an abomination. So
then once it get on you, guess what? It be hard to shake that thing off, man.
Dude, it'd be hard to shake out.
Y'all already thought you was something in the world. Now you coming in this truth. Now you think you something in this truth too. You say you gonna put seven more.
Wicked spirits on you,
Yeah,
man.
you gonna be prideful times 7, boy.
Like Nathan Young said, put that thing on you.
Read verse 3 again. Romans chapter 12, verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly.
But to do what?
But to think soberly.
Spiritually and physically. It's okay to have a few drinks, but guess what? You don't want to overseed that thing. You never want to drink to get drunk, brothers and sisters. And you damn sure don't want to get drunk off of philosophies and religion. We see our people, boy, say they out there gone with that philosophy, boy, thinking they deep. Got the brother out there going against Captain Jerubal. He trying to be so deep and get cut up by the scriptures, man.
Yeah, next time we see him, what was he with?
Edomite.
He was with an Edomite.
I ain't talking about that. You said what up?
And they will turn your sons away.
Oh yeah, they will. Read on up. But to think soberly, start there.
But to think soberly, according as God had dealt to every man the measure of faith.
Because guess what? Each one of us has a measure of faith. Now, in these troublous times, you want to try to get our faith up there, man, because we see things going on. And I know a lot of times brothers and sisters' faith may be wavering, their spirits may be wavering, but how do you strengthen your spirit? How do you strengthen your faith? By doing what? Praying and fasting.
Jump up to verse 1.
12 and 1 of Romans. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Now, how do you brothers present your body as a living sacrifice to the Lord?
By keeping the law, statutes,
By
and
keeping the
commandments.
law, statutes, and commandments, man. You ain't got it ain't so deep. It's just hey, it's a straight commandment.
Letting your light shine.
Letting your light shine.
The Most High already knew us. He knew we would keep it simple with us. That's why when you see brothers going off so deep, you know they done went past the mark. You like brothers. Now you just done went to what that brother say he was last week, a neo-theist.
Yeah.
Like, brother, where is your proof?
No, but when we got to going through the scriptures with him, guess what? He's a neo-theism. Then he was a Asiatic black man,
Native American.
Like, bro, you all over the place. Yeah, man, I did that for 20 years, yeah, bro. But you ain't met the real ones that cut your butt up. He said, man, I just got to come back, man. I'm gonna have to just cleanse myself, man, and get back. I'm gonna have to get back with you, brothers. Yeah, okay. We'll see. Then next thing you know, he pulled out this cigarette.
Yeah.
I said, nah, you ain't going nowhere, brother.
Look, and that's the thing. It's either something like that, or like the brother that you had dealt with after you done cut him up with the scriptures. We seen him with a Edomite, and it's like it's always some kind of something attached to these brothers that make them be like that.
Right.
When all we got to do is stay right here within the boundaries of the scriptures, and you'll be all right. You'll be okay. It's simple.
It is, man. And that's where you try to get the deep brothers out there. That's really, like we say, deep dummies, man.
That brother said he was deeper than the Bible.
Yeah, man.
That's what he had said.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gonna go deeper than the Bible than the lake of fire.
That's exactly right. Give me Matthew chapter 13 and verse 33. Because this is the leaven that you want to have, like how we read in the book of in the Zondervan Bible. Like I say, these things, leaven is symbolic for good and bad. But this is the good leaven that you want to have. The parable that Christ was giving us in this.
The book of Matthew.
Jump up to verse 31 now.
Matthew 13, starting at 31. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds.
So guess what? The mustard seed is the smallest seed out there. Read on up.
But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs.
But when it's sown in the field or when it's planted in the field, guess what? It yields the most out of all the seeds that there is. That's the level that you want. You want to start off small, but you guess what? You want to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, brothers and sisters, in truth and in understanding. Read on out. You got something? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, huh?
Read on.
And becometh a tree.
And do what?
And becometh a tree.
Guess what? That's what we're trying to become. Trees planted in the Garden of Eden, though. That's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. Planted in the kingdom. Read on.
So that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof.
To where we have, guess what? All the other nations seeking after us. Read on out.
Another parable. He spake unto him, he unto them.
This is the one I wanted, though. Read on out.
The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven.
Read that again.
The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven.
So we know that the kingdom of heaven, meaning, guess what? It's going to be very big. Because guess what? Leaven makes the dough rise. So the kingdom is going to be very big. Read on up.
Which a woman took and hid it there, and hid it 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened.
So during this time, guess what? They will put leaven in the bread to, guess what? To make it rise, to make it more. Read that again from the top out.
Another parable spake he unto them. The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened.
To the what?
Till the whole was leavened.
Till the whole was leavened, till it was overfilled. And that's why that's how our body should be, brothers and sisters. Guess what? Keep applying the law, statutes, and commandments till your whole body is filled with nothing but righteousness. That's what it's all about, brothers and sisters, especially going into, like we say, the Passover. Keeping that symbolism in our head. Keeping those things. Give me this law. We're going in with that one. Give me the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16. Because like we always go into, these are 3 commandments that we must do, brothers and sisters.
16.
Yeah, 16, Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place where he shall choose.
So this is 3 times that we must. 3 commandments are bringing it up to today. 3 commandments we must do. 3 high holy days. Read on.
In the feast of unleavened bread.
Read that again.
In the feast of unleavened bread.
The feast of unleavened bread, which also is what? The Passover.
That's right.
Read that again.
There 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose. In the feast of unleavened bread. And in the feast of weeks.
And in the feast of weeks, which is going into what? Tabernacles. Read on up.
And in the feast of tabernacles.
Tabernacles, the feast of weeks is going into Pentecost. We must keep the Passover, unleavened bread, the Pentecost, and we must keep the tabernacles, brothers and sisters. These is 3 high holy days. It's no joke. You got some up?
No, go ahead.
What you feel? Go ahead.
I was going to go ahead.
3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
And that's the key too. We don't appear before the Lord empty, brothers and sisters. We all pitch in. So that, guess what? That we can all have enough for brothers and sisters, and mainly so we can all have a good time. Yes, I'm out.
No.
These things. Yeah, go ahead. Up.
Every man shall give as he is able.
Read that again.
Every man shall give as he is able.
That's why we constantly ask brothers and sisters, if y'all in hard times, let brothers and sisters know, man. We are a family here. We a nation. So guess what? We're gonna help brothers and sisters if they need that help.
And that goes into like when brothers and sisters ain't got money to pay for the Passover. I mean, guess what, man? You give it, man. Hey, if you ain't got much, hey, man, it's all I got, man. But I want to come. Okay, brother, that's good. If you ain't got nothing, hey, guess what? That's what we understand. But you got to tell somebody, don't just not keep the Passover because you commanded to keep this thing, man.
That's right, because I mean, you know, we can't read minds like we always say. I wish we could read minds and just automatically come to brothers and sisters like her sister, her brother. You know,
I don't want to read your mind.
That goes for
Not right now. That's why I say not yet.
that also goes for new moons.
Yeah, exactly.
New moons, high holy, all the high holy days. This applies to. You shouldn't miss these things because we commanded to do this, whether we got some or not. But that's what we hear as a family folk, to take care of each other.
That's right,
So
man.
don't feel like, oh, I ain't got it, so I'm not gonna come. No, still bring your butt home.
That's right.
So we always have enough.
That's right. And like Jeremiah said, you always see the Bible revert back to like Moses said, to remember that when the Most High passed over us, you know what I'm saying? So really, and when he said in 16, he said the first feast he said was unleavened bread. This is really the most important feast, man. This is the most important time right here, man. We remember the Most High passed over us, man, and didn't kill us out, man. So we want to make sure that we do these three, but mainly the feast of this feast right here going into unleavened bread. This is the most important one, man.
Yep, because throughout the whole Bible, it always tells you remember Egypt.
That's right.
Remember Egypt.
Everywhere.
All through the Bible, remember Egypt. Remember Egypt. Remember I did y'all for Egypt. Because the Lord, man, look here. When you look in that, when you look in the aspect, man, we need to go back in that what we probably I might hit that Wednesday. I don't know unless you hit it.
John, you hit that mother.
But go back through the plagues that he brought on Egypt. That's why he told us to remember Egypt. Because when you see the plague that he put on them, man, he was putting all kind of plagues on them. But over here, we over there looking like, dang, it ain't touching us.
Man.
That's why he tells us remember that.
Right there. That was a miracle within itself right there.
Like right now, we looking at it going on.
That's right.
And we got people scared.
Right.
You ain't got no faith in the Most High God. He said, remember Egypt. If he put pestilence on them and it passed over us, what it's going to do here?
That's gonna become.
If you're not showing the Most High that you got faith in him, why would he protect you? You're not showing faith because one of the things we got to have is faith, right?
That's right.
But you know what? These people told me to stay in the house, so we ought to obey God rather than man.
That's right.
We trying to get back in his good graces, not in the dang Edomites' good graces.
Right. That's right.
They can't do nothing with us if the Most High is with us, man. So walking with fear because of this, the Most High the one put this thing down.
I'm gonna get a couple precepts right quick. We got to touch that because a lot of times people don't have their mindset ready for that. Give me Matthew 5:20 right quick. I'm gonna get 2 precepts. I'm gonna show y'all something in this. Matthew 5:20. Because we got to get our mindset and ready for that. Because a lot of times, you know, we dig into the scribes and Pharisees, but we got to show you something in there though. Read verse 20.
Matthew 5:20. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven.
He said we have to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees. Why did he say that? That's what our mindset should be thinking. Go to Matthew 23 and verse 30. See, because why do he say your righteousness have to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees?
Book of Matthew, chapter 23, verse 30. And say, if we had been in the days of our father.
Now, cause you know how you think. You reading the Bible, you like, dang, that's what they did to Christ. I can't believe they did this. Dang, look what they did to John the Baptist. Dang, look what they did to Elisha. Dang, look what they did. All the prophets. You looking at it like, dang, we'd have been back there with our forefathers. You don't know. You might be reading about yourself.
That's right.
Read on up.
We would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets.
Now you'd have been like, man, if I was back there, man, I would have never did that. Yes, you would have, because you that same wicked Negro back then. Lord gave you grace to get yourself right, man.
And the thing about that is they were saying that back then about what happened with Moses, the same way we do today.
Exactly.
Man, if I would have been back there, I wouldn't have did this. I wouldn't have. And we did this is the same people doing the same thing, generation after generation after generation. Man.
Come on, read the next verse though. It's been explained.
Verse 31. Wherefore ye be witnesses unto
The
yourselves
Most High said, "You witnesses unto your dang on self." Read.
that ye are the children of them which killed the prophets.
That's why you got to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, because a lot of times you be talking about your damn self. You got to exceed that, man. Because that's how your forefathers, how they used to do and all the stuff that they were doing, the wrong things to do. Guess what? You might have been very well was one of the ones that when they was had to say, well, choose which one you want to live, and Christ up on the cross, and you look like, get up, Barnabas. Come on, man. You got to exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, man. That's why it's always pivotal, man. When you dealing with this Bible, you got to be steadfast in this thing, man.
Let me get one more precept. Let's bounce over to chapter 24 and verse 6. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 6.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For
What can Christ say?
See that you be not troubled.
See, this is Christ giving prophecy, man. We already hearing rumors of wars, and wars is going on. He said, make sure that you don't be troubled by these things. Read on now.
For all these things must come to pass.
They must what?
Must come to pass.
These things that's happening here has to come to pass. If you believe, if you have faith, and you want Yahweh to save our people out this thing, then these things have to come to pass. How can we not walk through this pestilence if we ain't waiting on Yahweh? Read on up.
But the end is not yet.
And this ain't the end yet. So you can be shut up all you want. This ain't the end. Read on up.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence.
See, we ain't got all the way there yet, but some of them grocery stores be looking a little slack.
Right. Yeah.
Why? Because everybody panicking. Read on.
And earthquakes in diverse places.
Go back. What you give me?
For there shall be famine and pestilence.
And what?
And pestilence.
That's what's going on right now, man. It ain't nothing new. This ain't the first time it happened. But the way people watching the news, making themselves paranoid from the fear mongering, they can't even function. Oh, the coronavirus is out there. It's gonna be out there.
Right.
You can be in your house. You let one person that's been out in the world come into your house, you can be susceptible to it. So what you gonna do? Be a hermit?
No, you can be in your house and open up a box of cereal that somebody just coughed on in the warehouse, and you can get it.
That's right.
So how is you gonna hide from the wrath of the Most High God, man? Once the wrath of the Most High God is on you, you can't get it off.
Right. That's right.
Read on up.
Earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrow.
That's just the beginning of sorrow,
Man.
So if you already panicking, it can get way worse than this. I just think the Most High that I get to even be in this time, because I'd rather deal with this than 200 years ago, being in chattel slavery. I'd rather deal with this right here.
See, but when you look at the plague, that's hitting this earth, Wisdom Solomon chapter 8 and 7. Get there right quick. When you deal with the plagues of this earth, guess what? We should be looking at the plagues. 18 and 7. Wisdom Solomon 18 and 7. We should be looking at the plagues, and just like the children of Israel when they was back in Egypt, they was looking at the plagues too. But this is something that we have to get in our hearts when we see those plagues.
And we can't be running around because the white man's scared. We scared with him.
That's right. Watch this. Read that up.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 18, verse 7. So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous.
Because we got to accept the salvation of the righteous, man. We know we are the righteous. We keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. Read.
And destruction of the enemy.
Guess what? We see that this virus is taking over America and all these different countries. We got to accept that, man. Guess what? We know we righteous. We know. Look here. I'll say this verse in Psalm 91, man. You see how many times he said it yesterday? About 15, 20 times. Because we understand. We got to accept both sides, that the Lord got to destroy this place, and and that we gonna have salvation.
Right.
We got to accept both sides. You can't accept one without the other. Because I can't believe my auntie got the coronavirus, man. Hey, yeah, auntie.
Ain't nobody doing wicked. All I know,
because these people, when that sky cracks, they already got people thinking, oh, when the chariots come, that's a UFO. And they putting in the movies to be scared of that thing. You cannot be scared of the same stuff the Edomites scared of. Just like I just read, we have to accept both the salvation of the righteous. So we the righteous, and we want to get saved, and the destruction of the enemies. When the chariots come, that's going to be the destruction of the enemies. And if you're an Israelite, you better not be hiding nowhere talking, oh my goodness, the UFO's coming. Man, we got to get out that spirit, man. That's that spirit of, this is our country. This is our government. No, it's not.
Yeah. That's the person, when you're doing it, it's really kind of showing you that you don't understand the Bible. When you're showing understanding of the Bible, you should see that, okay, I understand what the Lord doing. You can't, there's no panic in this thing, man. We walking by faith, man. This is the time that the Lord said we have to be walking by faith, man.
We'll get one more. We're gonna end it for real this time. Here's the Rock chapter 39, verse 1. Because like we said, we in the Bible, none of these things are pop up phones. We chill out.
We go all day with this.
The book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High.
That's one thing that we constantly got to do. We've been talking about putting off the old man, putting on the new man, but guess what? Changing your mind first. Giving your mind to the law of the Most High. Read on out.
And is occupied in the meditation thereof.
Not only give your mind to it, but guess what? Constantly be thinking about God's laws, statutes, commandments.
Man.
Constantly be thinking upon the scriptures.
I thought it was did meditation like, it ain't did.
Not Buddhism.
Nah, not Buddhism. Strictly thinking upon the Most High. Read on out.
Will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients.
Guess what? The wisdom of all the ancients is, guess what? Our forefathers. Sirach, the wisdom of Solomon. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Guess what? Isaiah. Read on out.
And be occupied in prophecy.
And be what?
Occupied in prophecy.
That last part is heavy right there. You stay in the scriptures, guess what? Continue to be occupied in prophecies. Because guess what? The Most High is giving us these things, so we're not getting caught off guard, brothers and sisters. We're not. And with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Happy Passover. Happy feast of unleavened bread.